welcome to No Apologies on Beck, where we are unafraid to speak the truth. I'm your host, Rick Becker, our co-host, Lori Hintz.
Hello, how are you?
I know you're excited about tonight's show.
I am very excited.
We've got a special guest.
We do, and I've been looking forward to having her on the show since I saw her original video. So Ivory Hecker is here tonight. Join us for that. Do not go away.
Yes, but in the meantime, we're going to talk about something else.
This is so goofy, though. I can't believe that this is coming up. I mean, honestly, I use that word.
Right, we're talking about reparations, and I just wanted to bring it up as a topic in and of itself for local municipalities. I think it's a bit silly, but it brings up a more important point about what is happening in the nation and how we have this prism of race for everything. And now, in my assessment, it is being used as an excuse for overtly racist, redistributionist policies. So pull up the graphic of the article I'm referring to. We've got reparations emerge as priority for liberal cities. And so what's happening is, as it says here, they are indicating that national reparations for slavery could run as high as $20 trillion. Now, it's questionable on how they come up with that. Clearly, they're looking at interest and they're looking at inflation, things like that. But that is a that is a Pandora's box to try and figure that out.
Right.
So some of the more leftist-run cities are saying, you know what, it doesn't look like it's happening nationally. We are going to do something locally. So what we have is on June 18th, the eve of Juneteenth.
Of course.
Of course. Mayors of 11 cities, including Austin and Los Angeles, pledged to set up reparations programs to address local wrongs and to serve potentially as pilots for potential national action.
Great.
So if you look at Evanston, Illinois, the mayor there decided to distribute $25,000 to eligible black households for home repair or other property costs. So here's the thing.
This is unbelievable.
I mean, we have two angles we can look at this. Number one is this has nothing to do with reparations.
Nothing.
It's redistributionist, racist. Now, if you may recall, Lori, we had a discussion with regard to the Farmer Loan Forgiveness Program. So it was for blacks. It was overtly racist. And if you were black, even if you're a successful farmer, you could have your loan forgiven to the tune of 120%. In other words, your loan is 100% paid off and you get 20% more than what your loan was for. Clearly redistributing money based on skin color. What we didn't talk about is they also the feds lost a lawsuit. There's something related to COVID-19 and all that, and it's a restaurant revitalization program. So restaurants could also come up with some of these COVID funds, right? But they were limited funds. It was a first come, first served basis.
Oh.
But for the first 3 weeks of the program, and it was only open for several weeks, for the first 3 weeks, nobody could apply unless they were female or of color.
Wow.
And that was found to be
That is totally
overtly
racist.
Yes,
That
it
is completely
so
racist.
So that's what this is it's an excuse. It's an attempt to take a moral position about reparations and have it cover something that's overtly racist. Now, to get into reparations itself, I think it's a particularly interesting topic because what are we paying, to whom, for what, from whom?
Right.
So we're talking, if it's $20 trillion, whatever it is, we're going to borrow more money. It's going to come from future generations. And who gets it? Anybody with dark skin color? Must they be a descendant of a slave? If someone comes to America, a person of color, and they came after the Civil War, do they get money because of their skin color? Who pays it? Do descendants of the Union soldiers who fought and died?
Great point.
Right, 360,000 Union soldiers died to free slaves. So do their descendants need to pay? What if a person...
You have a lot of questions here, Rick.
There are endless questions. If a person is a descendant of both a slave and slave
then
owner,
what do you do?
Do they
you have
pay
to pay
themselves?
Well, that's right. Brilliant.
So what we have here is it's a ridiculous notion. Reparations is nothing but a call to continue the charge that there are oppressed people in the United States.
Exactly.
And that there are saviors for those oppressed people, and those saviors know exactly what to do, and it always comes down to taking money from some people and giving it to other people which puts those people that have received the money in a permanent state of dependence, and that's what we've seen since 1964.
Over and over again. I saw an article on WND, WorldNet Daily, that said, end systemic racism, UN calls for reparations. UN calling for reparations. So they're trying to do it on a global scale here at the same time. The nations of the world must immediately dismantle systemic racism against blacks and pay them reparations while granting government funding, and support groups such as Black Lives Matter, declared the United Nations Human Rights Chief. This was just this last week. It was a 23-page report. The UN High Commissioner for Human Rights said the status quo is untenable.
Well, the United Nations is idiocy incarnate.
It's all true.
I would like to know, when they're looking at a global level, blacks in the United States are better off economically than over 90% of the world's population.
Exactly.
And there are people, the Democrats especially, the leftists especially, always try to make us believe that all blacks are poor. And you know, Joe Biden had a couple of faux pas that he said where he equated the two. We're supposed to always think black people, poor people, black people, poor people.
But that narrative no longer holds. That is not
less than
true.
a quarter of black people and it's nothing necessarily to be proud of. And I blame Democrat policies,
right.
But less than a quarter of black people are at the level of poverty. And what's interesting is the reparations. I would like to know what reparations come from Democrat policies,
right.
Because over the course of the 40s and 50s and into the 60s, despite Jim Crow laws and Black Code and all of that, blacks were rapidly gaining and approaching the same economic status as whites. And what happened when the war on poverty came? They plateaued off and they dropped down. So if you want reparations, go ask your Democrat buddies. That's what I say.
That's exactly right.
Unbelievable.
It is unbelievable. I mean, you knew that it was coming. They've signaled for a while now that that's where things were going, and that was the plan originally. We're going to make people pay and redistribute wealth again, as you said.
It's just an embarrassing thing. I don't know how you can stand for it to always equate black people with being poor.
Do you have some of the other cities that were doing this beside Evanston, Illinois? I mean, are there, because Evanston is a very democratic place, obviously. That's a very much a
It is. I mean, the two
place.
biggies were Austin, Los Angeles. Of course, Austin is a hotbed of
liberalism as well.
of wokeism.
Right.
And I'm wondering, with something like this, you know that the Woke City Commission in Fargo, North Dakota, probably would love this idea.
Don't say that so loud. Shh, be very quiet.
I think, hey, Fargo. Hey, Fargo, I think you should do this. I think you should tax your citizens and give it to people based on skin color. I think
how
that
that
would be
works for you.
fantastic.
That'd
No,
be
I
great.
really want you to do it because I want you to get kicked out and other people voted in.
Well, that'll
so
work.
Do it.
All right, good idea.
All right.
Okay.
Next up.
Yeah, we will be talking to our guest reporter from Houston, Texas, Ivory Hecker, when we come back.
When you can't find answers to your recurring health challenges, it can feel like your health and your future are being held hostage. The Wellness Way is a network of health restoration clinics that think and act differently to solve the health challenges others can't. Here, we disrupt the standard approach to care through a combination of testing, individual plans, and one-on-one guidance, putting your health and your future where they belong, in your own hands.
40 years ago, Aero Service Team started with one truck and lots of hard work.
Times may have changed, but the hard work that we put in to get your lives back in order after fire, water, and disaster hasn't.
Over the years, we've seen so many families lose their belongings due to water and fire damage. Restoring homes back to the original state has made every hour of hard work well worth it.
Thank you for trusting our family with yours.
When disaster strikes, you only have to make one call. Aero Service Team does it all.
Go for Launch 2018 series winner. Without further ado, it is my honors. Reginae. The winning team
It's every American's right to bear arms. At Mandan Sporting Goods, we're here to help you support your Second Amendment rights, which reads, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Whether you're looking for a pistol for personal defense or collector gun, we have the staff to help you. We also have the area's largest inventory of ammo and reloading supplies.
Mandan Sporting Goods, the area's local gun and ammo specialists.
40 years ago, Aero Service Team started with one truck and lots of hard work.
Times may have changed, but the hard work that we put in to get your lives back in order after fire, water, and disaster hasn't.
Over the years, we've seen so many families lose their belongings due to water and fire damage. Restoring homes back to the original state has made every hour of hard work well worth it.
Thank you for trusting our family with yours.
When disaster strikes, you only have to make one call. Aero Service Team does it all.
Every great pizza has a secret. At New York To Go, that secret lies in our perfectly recreated New York water, the key ingredient to making our signature New York-style pizza. We also feature Heroes, with the region's only Hero meat spit, plus Nathan's hot dogs, calzones, and our delicious jumbo buffalo wings. Try a 14-inch or our special giant 20-inch pizza tonight. You gotta know how to fold them if you want to hold them. New York To Go, we deliver for you.
And we're back. It's No Apologies on Beck. We have with us a special guest, Lori. Why don't you introduce her for us?
I am very pleased to have Ivory Hecker from Houston with us. We have been teasing it a little bit on the show quite a bit. You've maybe seen some things on social media about her as well, but we are thrilled to have you. Thank you.
It's great to be here.
Yeah, now you are new to North Dakota. This is the first time you've ever been to North Dakota, I understand.
I was briefly here back in like 2016, but I've never really sank my teeth into the state.
Did you get past Fargo, or is that as far as you get?
No, I briefly came to Bismarck.
Really?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So you are from Houston now, but originally you are not from Houston.
Yeah, I grew up in Wisconsin.
So very, very much more Midwestern.
Yeah.
Well, I would
Similar
like
to
to,
here.
I want to start right off the bat by showing what you did and what caught my attention. What originally happened was I was on Twitter and I was surfing around and I saw this video and I went, oh wow, look what this chick did. This is so great. So let's show the clip right off the bat that started the whole thing. Oh. All right. Okay, we're going to come back to that. They just told me in my ear. Okay, so what I did was I saw this video, and what you did is you broke ranks. You broke that window while you were doing a live hit. And what you did was you went out there and you veered off of your script and you went to kind of expose things, but you did it in such a short amount of time. And I'm curious what your mindset was when you were planning on doing that, because you had to rehearse it, I think, in your head a little bit in order to fit it into the 20 seconds, because it was like 20 seconds and you were done with it already, and then you went right onto the story, and that's the part that cracked me up. I thought that was fantastic. So talk about your mindset going into what you were doing.
Yeah, I just knew after witnessing so much news suppression and corruption and just unjournalistic activity in my company like I'd never seen in my 9 years as a journalist,
Mm-hmm.
I decided I had to somehow get that message out. Mm-hmm. And so I just decided that day I just had to squeeze that in and let people know that I was going to do that. I figured if I did it live on air, it would get the word out to more people.
That was brilliant. That was actually a really, really smart idea, because, and the people who are in the control room were obviously watching that and they're going, wait, what is she doing? What is she doing? And they didn't have enough time to even react to it because you kept it so brief.
I didn't know if they would cut me off the air or what, but I ended up just going through my whole little speech saying, look, guys, I'm going to let you, the viewers, know some things that go on behind the scenes at Fox because it applies to you.
Right.
And then I just continued on with my report. But I just chose to have it in my mind that day that I had to say this, that this was part of my report and just keep my feelings out of it and say it, and that's what I did.
It's fantastic. The guys have it ready now, so let's go ahead and play that.
Outages across the region. Fox 26 reporter Ivory Hecker is live in Montgomery County to take a look at that aspect.
Thanks, guys. That's right. Before we get to that story, I want to let you, the viewers, know that Fox Corp has been muzzling me to keep certain information from you, the viewers. And from what I'm gathering, I am not the only reporter being subjected to this. I am going to be releasing some recordings about what goes on behind the scenes at Fox because it applies to you, the viewers. I found a nonprofit journalism group called Project Veritas. It's going to help put that out tomorrow, so tune into them. But as for this heat wave across Texas, you can see what it's doing to AC units.
But then, of course, this heat wave, and then you just go right back at that. Cracked me up. I love that so much. It made me laugh. And so because we saw this, we did a story on it. We did a little news story on it here at our show, No Apologies with Becker. So we talked about it, and then that same day, April Moss from Detroit did the same thing. She did this.
Oh, like a week later.
The week, exactly. Yeah, that was the day that we did the story. So it was a week after you had done it, and I saw the video. And then she did the exact same, so it was fabulous. Now, you talked about on there that they were muzzling you, and that was a really big word to use because it was a very good visual for me. They were absolutely shutting your mouth and not allowing you to say things that you needed to say.
Right. When you send a reporter out to cover a topic, but then ban them from letting part of the important information out to the public, it's just, they're muzzling. And at one point, they muzzled me from an entire topic, which was COVID drug treatments, what is and isn't working for patients against this new disease. You would think that would be a topic we would want to cover, but they shut me down from it, and pretty much my coworkers didn't cover it either. And we just switched to vaccines. So it's just one of many strange things that happened over this past year that were unjournalistic.
I think it's fantastic, and it took courage. You must have anticipated there would be consequences. Did you anticipate losing your job?
Yes, that was a very deliberate dare to Fox to fire me. I wanted to be fired. Yeah. Well, so it was successful. I wanted to be fired because I didn't want to be a part of an unjournalistic organization anymore. I believe in the power of journalism to keep a society free. So if there's a company that's taking a hard stand against journalism, which Fox did, they said, basically, you're not allowed to criticize censorship and you're not allowed to stand up for free speech anymore. And you know, those are, journalism can't exist in an environment of censorship. So Fox is saying, we're not going to protect journalism anymore. And in fact, in certain instances, we're going to mandate you not to do journalism. We're going to mandate you to create more of a propaganda type story by omitting important aspects of the story to push other aspects. With vaccines, they said, you're not allowed to mention the fact that the CDC is reporting thousands of deaths after vaccination. Just one of the adverse reactions we don't want you to talk about because we don't want to discourage anyone. Let's hype it up instead. So Fox became a PR team, and like it was practically like they were advertising vaccines. I don't know, if you want to advocate for something, I guess that's fine, but when you purposely hide certain facts, you alienate your viewers. The viewers don't trust you anymore because they're digging up those facts themselves.
Exactly. And they are. And many, many people have dug up those facts themselves, which is what's kind of happening with journalism now is people are trying to find their own news, trying to do their own research. And it's really time-consuming and frustrating to have to do that all the time. You just kind of want people to give you the facts and give you the news. Now, did you contact Project Veritas? Or did they contact you?
It's such a funny story because when Fox first started targeting me and suppressing and muzzling me last summer, I told some of my friends, I confided in some of my friends what was happening and that I had gotten an attorney who had told me to record. And my friends, multiple friends from different backgrounds, all recommended Project Veritas. They said, reach out to them. They cover this sort of thing, and they could help you. And
Had
so
you heard of Project Veritas before then, or?
I had,
Mhm.
yeah. So I thought about it for several months, and then in like November, I decided, okay, I'll send them a tip. And Project Veritas never got back to me. I guess they were getting overwhelmed with election-related tips that time.
Oh,
So they
sure.
never saw it, and I was like, okay, whatever. I knew in my heart at that point that I had to get this out to the public somehow. As it's just like, just to be true to what I believed was right, I needed to get away from the company and let people know why I got away from the company, because it involved the viewers. They were deceptively manipulating facts by omitting certain facts, pushing other facts. I didn't feel comfortable with it. It didn't go along with what I learned in journalism school. So because of that, I knew I had to break away from the company, and I had to let the people know why, because it involves the viewers. And whatever way I can. So I was like, whenever I get my chance to get away from the company, because I was locked into a contract, I was like, whenever I find a way out of this contract, I'll just upload these recordings to my Instagram and call it a day. And I was just like, I had resolved, I'll just do that on my own, and whoever sees it, and at least I've put it out there for people to know really why I left and that it involves them. So I had resolved to do that. But then in January, Project Veritas found me on Twitter. I had just clicked like on one of their tweets.
Oh, wow.
And they DM'd me saying thanks for the follow. And then, a conversation was started, and
the rest, as they say, is history. That is great. Well, we're going to follow up with that and show you some Project Veritas video when we come back in our next segment. Stay with us.
When you can't find answers to your recurring health challenges, it can feel like your health and your future are being held hostage. The Wellness Way is a network of health restoration clinics that think and act differently to solve the health challenges others can't. Here, we disrupt the standard approach to care through a combination of testing, individual plans, and one-on-one guidance, putting your health and your future where they belong, in your own hands.
40 years ago, Aero Service Team started with one truck and lots of hard work.
Times may have changed, but the hard work that we put in to get your lives back in order after fire, water, and disaster hasn't.
Over the years, we've seen so many families lose their belongings due to water and fire damage. Restoring homes back to the original state has made every hour of hard work well worth it.
Thank you for trusting our family with yours.
When disaster strikes, you only have to make one call. Aero Service Team does it all.
Prairie Patriot Firearms and Training is the region's most complete gun and training center. 5-lane indoor range, a gun shop, and a certified training facility. Firearms training courses are offered daily for new, intermediate, and advanced shooters. If you're not comfortable in a classroom setting, Prairie Patriot offers one-on-one private lessons, from basic self-defense training to concealed weapons testing, along with a full line of guns, ammunition, holsters, and concealment clothing. Prairie Patriot, 3930 Memorial Highway, prairiepatriot.com.
40 years ago, Aero Service Team started with one truck and lots of hard work.
Times may have changed, but the hard work that we put in to get your lives back in order after fire, water, and disaster hasn't.
Over the years, we've seen so many families lose their belongings due to water and fire damage. Restoring homes back to the original state has made every hour of hard work well worth it.
Thank you for trusting our family with yours.
When disaster strikes, you only have to make one call. Aero Service Team does it all.
Every great pizza has a secret. At New York To Go, that secret lies in our perfectly recreated New York water, the key ingredient to making our signature New York style pizza. We also feature gyros with the region's only gyro meat spit, plus Nathan's hot dogs, calzones, and our delicious jumbo buffalo wings. Try a 14-inch or our special giant 20-inch pizza tonight. You gotta know how to fold them if you want to hold them. New York To Go, we deliver for you.
It's every American's right to bear arms. At Mandan Sporting Goods, we're here to help you support your Second Amendment rights, which reads, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Whether you're looking for a pistol for personal defense or collector gun, we have the staff to help you. We also have the area's largest inventory of ammo and reloading supplies.
Mandan Sporting Goods, the area's local gun and ammo specialists.
We're back. It's No Apologies, your after-hours oasis of sanity. I'm your host, Rick Becker, co-host Lori Hintz, and our wonderful guest, Ivory Hecker, in the house. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, I have, guys, put up a Veritas tips at protonmail.com. This is in case anyone has an idea or you know someone who is aware of free speech being, I guess...
squashed.
Thank you, squashed. Reach out to these guys. I've been at a few conventions and a few other areas where this comes up, and I think it is fantastic. I think it's led them to a lot of good information. And Ivory, clearly, at least listening to the James O'Keefe interview, you've been an inspiration to others who have also come out. So beware of that email. All right.
Well, let's show a clip from this actual James O'Keefe interview that you did. And they've got it up on their website, too, at projectveritas.com, too. So go ahead and run the first one, please.
Fox came at my throat for standing up against censorship.
In my opinion, you failed as a reporter.
From the inside, yes, there's a narrative. Yes, it is unspoken, but if you accidentally step outside the narrative, if you don't sense what that narrative is and go with it, there will be grave consequences for you.
It's not just about the viewers, it's about what our CEO reads. It's about what our GM reads.
My question is very simple. Why are you doing this?
It affects the viewers. That's why I'm doing this. The viewers are being deceived by a carefully crafted narrative in some stories.
I have passed on Bitcoin stories. African American audience of 5, it's probably not going to play. That's a choice I'm making, an editorial choice.
That seems sort of a racially charged statement to make.
I want out of this narrative news telling. I want out of this corruption.
I want out of this corruption, you say at the end of that one. And I think that I understand why you would want out of that corruption.
Yeah. I mean, when they came at me with a defamatory letter of warning, when I had to get a lawyer involved for simply doing journalism.
Right?
That is when I was like, okay, I need out. I mean, they sent me to cover COVID treatment at a hospital. They didn't like part of what the doctor said, and then they came after me viciously, apparently because they were getting outside heat from a gossip site. So they're like, okay, we need to snuff her out to protect ourselves from gossip. But I was doing journalism. You sent me to cover this, and then you didn't like what the guy said.
Right.
So that's corruption when they defame someone unjustly, for doing journalism.
When you were in journalism school, you had ethics, you learned rules, you learned various things, and it seems to me like once you're in the actual job, you're in the actual career, that those things kind of go out the window from what you learn in journalism school. Am I wrong?
They often do. I mean, especially recently, sadly. I think my news bosses tried to follow the principles and elements of journalism as much as they could, but this past year, when pressure comes down from their bosses, which I was told it was, I mean, I think you heard those sound bites that said, it's what our CEO thinks, it's what our GM reads. Right. So when they're making unjournalistic edicts, then my bosses are forced to throw out journalism, and it's too bad.
Now, Rick and I on this show have many, many, many times talked about COVID-related stories. So many, many times. We have come back to it multiple times, and we've talked about hydroxychloroquine. You talked to James O'Keefe about this same topic, too, and I want to show one more clip here. This is another one about when she's talking to James O'Keefe at Project Veritas.
The vaccines, they need to be advertised somewhere. They can be advertised on Fox. Fox gets paid for that. So you've got to, as a viewer, you've got to look at who is advertising on this TV station, and you've got to realize that surely this TV station doesn't want to hurt its advertisers.
When Hecker's Fox 26 colleagues were asked if Fox 26 would ever adjust news coverage based on its advertisers, even they admit, quote, a lot of stuff can happen, unquote.
So could the ad council call you and be like, hey, I want to run all these spots, but I want to make sure your journalists aren't running any anti-vax stories. If that happens, it's above our. You won't know about it? What about you? That's above me. Would you hear? Does stuff like that ever happen? It can. A lot of stuff can happen.
I looked up the Ad Council, and some of their biggest donors are the vaccine companies.
Yep, some of the biggest donors are the vaccine companies. So you can see the money is influencing what you're doing.
I like what you said right after that. I'm sorry to interject, but Fox is also a huge contributor to Ad Council. And so they are getting tax credits or whatever tax status to donate to them so that they can then pay them. I mean, it's this crazy circle of
if
cronyism.
if it's true that that's happening, which I was getting indication that it was, that's pretty corrupt if that's the truth. And I still feel like I haven't gotten to the bottom of that, because Ad Council claims on their tax documents that it's all donated media. It's, they're, well, Fox is just airing these ads for free. But then
there might be a quid pro quo in there somewhere. It might be a little.
Well, they'll take a tax deduction. They'll take goods, the value of the goods given. But so I've got a question I wanted to bring up. You brought up with the interview with James O'Keefe, an Aaron Tippin song, "You've got to stand for something or you'll fall for anything." I think that's a fantastic quote. I actually used it in one of my campaigns, and I think that should be something that every journalist and journalist student should think about every day of their lives. Are you seeing some of your colleagues taking that philosophy, or do you feel like you're an island?
I have been told by quite a few journalists that I have emboldened them, that I set a fire for them, some of them said, so that's wonderful to hear. I've heard from like over 30 journalists now across the nation, as well as some outside of the country, who have similar stories to me. And a lot of them just quietly quit. They, like me, couldn't take it when they realized that this is not a journalistic organization. And it wasn't just Fox, it was other outlets. This is a pervasive issue in our industry, where journalism gets thrown out the window too many times. And a lot of them they didn't want to create controversy, so they quietly quit and told nobody why. So now my next project is I just want them to come forward and tell everyone why, because it applies to the viewers. It does. Viewers need to know that they got to take TV news or corporate news with a grain of salt.
Exactly. Well, I think people have learned that when President Trump was in office, he's like, fake news. Well, until that point, nobody had really called that out. And now we know that there is some propaganda there. And so people, I think, are far more aware. What I'm wondering is, we've only got like 30 seconds left in this segment too, but how about your coworkers at Fox 26? Did they reach out to you afterwards and say, hey, yay, good for you, it was happening to me too?
One coworker did tell me, actually two told me that they totally agreed with me. One reached out confused, and most of them just didn't say a word to me. I think the company is kind of keeping them
suppressing
silent.
them. I suspected as much. Anyway, when we come back, we're going to talk to her about a couple of other topics. Again, Ivory Hecker when we come back.
Hop in the rig and go down the road with me. We'll cover local and national stories that impact you. Down the Road with Joel Heitkamp weekdays at 5:30 Central on Beck News and online at beck.news.
When you're buying windows, make sure you're comparing apples to apples. Hi, I'm Jesse with the Window Source. We only sell you the best windows and doors for the best price. Call the Window Source. Just because you pay less doesn't mean you get less.
If you don't know what's going on in education in this country, then you don't know what's going to happen in the future of this country. And it's important. I'm Dr. Duke.
And I'm Katie.
Watch the Dr. Duke Show weekdays at 4 p.m. Central Time on Beck TV.
Every great pizza has a secret. At New York To Go, that secret lies in our perfectly recreated New York water, the key ingredient to making our signature New York-style pizza. We also feature gyros with the region's only gyro meat spit. Plus, Nathan's Hot Dogs, Calzones, and our delicious jumbo buffalo wings. Try a 14-inch or our special giant 20-inch pizza tonight. You gotta know how to fold them if you want to hold them. New York to go. We deliver for you.
It's every American's right to bear arms. At Mandan Sporting Goods, we're here to help you support your Second Amendment rights, which reads, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Whether you're looking for a pistol for personal defense or collector gun, we have the staff to help you. We also have the area's largest inventory of ammo and reloading supplies.
Mandan Sporting Goods, the area's local gun and ammo specialists.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, inventor of MyPillow. Thanks to your support, you've helped make MyPillow become one of the fastest growing companies in America. Over the last 12 years, you've helped MyPillow create thousands of jobs right here in the USA.
When I got MyPillow, I'm asleep almost immediately. I stay asleep at night and I wake up more well-rested in the morning.
That's why I invented MyPillow. My patented fill adjusts to your exact individual needs and helps keep your neck supported and aligned. I'm interrupting this commercial right now. Retailers have canceled MyPillow, and to thank you for your support, I'm gonna pass the savings directly on to you. Go to MyPillow.com right now to get deep discounts on all MyPillow products. For example, you can get my premium MyPillows, regularly $69.98, now just $29.98, the lowest price ever.
For the best night's sleep in the whole wide world, visit MyPillow.com.
Okay, we're back. It's No Apologies on Beck. We've got Ivory Hecker with us, our final segment with her. And so we've got a few questions. I wanted to ask you in particular, when I look around both in North Dakota and throughout the United States, it feels like true journalism is dead, or at least taking its last dying gasps. I'm wondering, when you look out at your fellow journalists, why does it seem to be lacking so badly? Is it laziness? Is it fearfulness? Or is it just an outright lack of integrity?
I think it's a big combo of things. I think that some of it is a low morale situation because a lot of these news outlets are cash-strapped, understaffed. Reporters are put up against unrealistic deadlines with little resources, and they are forced sometimes to put something on the news that they haven't fully verified. There have been situations where I didn't quite feel comfortable putting something on the news. I hadn't gotten enough verification that this was indeed happening, but the company wanted me to get out what I did know so far. So sometimes that's what it is, you know, and sometimes there is some laziness, in part because of low morale, because of lack of resources. It creates people just throwing their hands up and becoming more lazy and complacent. Sure. And also, I think there is a lack of understanding of what journalism is and how to properly do news, do journalism in a news setting.
Sure. Yeah. Well, that's a good. I hadn't thought about the low morale, but it certainly would seem that would be a strong component. If it's sort of like, I can't do what I want to do, I can't do it right, so why bother trying? It's what it sounds like. So very interesting.
I'm curious of the public reaction to this. Have you had a lot of fantastic feedback on, let's say, Twitter or Facebook or Instagram? Or
yeah, it's been like 98% positive, I would say. It's been an overwhelming positive reaction from people, which was shocking to me. I mean, first of all, I never thought my story would blow up like it has, but I think this shows just an absolute hunger from society for some authenticity, for some resurrection of journalism.
Right. We all hope for that, don't we? I mean, we all hope to get back to the time when reporters actually fed us news and not propaganda.
Yeah, something seems so off, especially this past year. People are wondering what is going on with news. Something doesn't feel right. A lot of people feel like their liberties have been stripped away, and they're wondering if misinformation from the news is a part of that. So, you know, when I came out saying, yes, there has been some monkey business,
right?
Then I was flooded with positivity.
I have two questions about Project Veritas. One, I was wondering, did they give you the cameras to do the undercover stuff, or had you done that previously and then just gave it to Project Veritas?
Well, it started with audio recording, instinctually to protect myself. When I had to get an attorney involved, he said, get your bosses on camera because this might go to court. We need to show their faces saying these things. So the attorney initially had me do that, but I was like, okay, I feel creepy doing this at all times. So I got a little bit of recordings, but then when Project Veritas came in, they gave me undercover cameras and said, no, we think you should start recording all the time. So that's when I started recording more.
Excellent. My other question about Project Veritas is you've been collaborating with them since then. You were just in New York. You came from New York here to Bismarck, North Dakota to talk with us. So what's going on with Project Veritas now and your future there?
So the next project is to tell more stories of people like me. There's been so many people who have dealt with situations where their bosses suppressed news and told the reporter, you're not allowed to ask these questions.
Wow.
So I am trying to get more journalists to come out with their stories. It can be a scary thing to go up against a news corporation and say, this is the truth of what happened to me. So I teamed up with Project Veritas to try to bring those stories forward. That's what we're working on.
That is so exciting. What a great thing to do, and what a brave thing to do, too. And, you know, Project Veritas has kind of a byline, and they say, be brave, do something. And you did. You were brave. And how did you screw up your courage for that? Because you knew that you're going to probably be blacklisted, and they're probably going to, you know, make sure that you never work again. I mean, I could just hear it in the corporate, can't you? But knowing that, you knew that there was something better out there for you. How did that come about?
I just craved authenticity and freedom so badly, the way that I had been suppressed and threatened from within. Any story from here on out, covering the precedent that Fox said that I'm in danger no matter what I cover. If someone says something bad about my coverage, Fox could unjustly attack me for it. So I'm no longer safe in this company. I'm no longer safe doing straight journalism, and I'm trapped in this unsafe situation. So I just wanted freedom. I wanted authenticity. I wanted to be real with people about what I was going through. And I wanted that so bad that I saw how similar other corporations were. I realized I don't want to be in corporate news at this time, you know, maybe that'll change someday, but I was like, I want to just blow this all up, get away, and just have some peace and some freedom. Even if that means losing everything, being poor, I wanted that
right?
Badly. So that's what led me to do what I did.
That's fantastic. That's a great testimony to feeling like you're shackled, and you just needed to break free. Yeah, that's fantastic. I love that so much. So you and I talked on the phone, and you said something about you're going to be going to a very big event on the 8th. I don't know if you can tell that in advance and let people know what you're doing on the 8th, because if you can't, that's fine. But I was pretty excited to hear that you're going to be telling your story on a pretty bigger stage in Dallas.
Oh yeah, so Project Veritas, when they tour around and speak, they like to bring their insiders with them, and they asked me if I would tell my story, and I said, sure, absolutely. I'm so grateful to Project Veritas for blasting my story out to so many people. So Project Veritas invited me to speak with them at CPAC. So I'm going to go speak at CPAC for the first time, and then there's some other events later on in July that we'll all be speaking together at as well.
That is fantastic. I love that. And I saw a picture with you and April Moss, who is the reporter from Detroit as well. And she did the similar thing, same sort of thing, doing a live hit, just went off the reservation totally, completely, and totally went on her other side. And then she goes, and then we have this cold front coming in. It was just fabulous. It just made me laugh. And I love that because it was done in a very smooth manner, much like you did. You did the same sort of thing. And I just want to commend you for all of your bravery and what you have done. And the fact that other people are coming along with you is really a testament to how you managed to go about what you did.
I've already heard from someone else this week who's really looking to maybe do the same thing.
Just like one a week, one after another, one after another. I was hoping that was going to happen. Weren't you kind of hoping that was going to happen?
I think that's great. You know, if you're being stripped of your ability to do journalism, or you're being unjustly disciplined as a journalist, you and the public should do this for the public. It's the right thing to do.
That's the right
Absolutely.
thing.
And you know, it's not, I think it's fantastic, absolutely fantastic. And more journalists need to do it. But it's not just journalists, because across the entire spectrum of our country, being a health professional, I'm appalled at how many people will talk to me behind closed doors and say that they agree with my concerns. They don't necessarily agree with the narrative that's being pushed, but they don't speak up. We need more healthcare workers, and we need more of everybody to stand up and fight against cancel culture, the idea of silencing someone's speech. You know, what you experienced, the corruption. If you don't speak out against it, it's never going to end. And I admire you that you're willing to say, you know what, forget it. It's more important to be true to myself than it is to worry about having this job. And so kudos to you.
Yep, thank you.
You're very
Ivory, thank you so much for coming all the way here to Bismarck, North Dakota, and talking to us in person. We are very grateful. We have a lot in common at this TV station with her. We don't muzzle free speech here either. So thank you so much for coming.
Thanks for having me.
All right, when we come back, we are going to talk about another executive order of Biden's. Stay with us.
When you can't find answers to your recurring health challenges, it can feel like your health and your future are being held hostage. The Wellness Way is a network of health restoration clinics that think and act differently to solve the health challenges others can't. Here, we disrupt the standard approach to care through a combination of testing, individual plans, and one-on-one guidance, putting your health and your future where they belong, in your own hands.
40 years ago, Aero Service Team started with one truck and lots of hard work.
Times may have changed, but the hard work that we put in to get your lives back in order after fire, water, and disaster hasn't.
Over the years, we've seen so many families lose their belongings due to water and fire damage. Restoring homes back to the original state has made every hour of hard work well worth it.
Thank you for trusting our family with yours.
When disaster strikes, you only have to make one call. Aero Service Team does it all.
Spas, etc. Yeah. You've come to know and trust us for over 18 years with the largest selection and showroom in Western North Dakota for our beautiful Sundance spas. Plus, you can pick out your next home experience with our selection of pool tables, shuffleboards, and fun accessories.
Spas, etc. Your relaxation destination on Maiden Bismarck.
40 years ago, Aero Service Team started with one truck and lots of hard work.
Times may have changed, but the hard work that we put in to get your lives back in order after fire, water, and disaster hasn't.
Over the years, we've seen so many families lose their belongings due to water and fire damage. Restoring homes back to the original state has made every hour of hard work well worth it.
Thank you for trusting our family with yours.
When disaster strikes, you only have to make one call. Aero Service Team does it all.
Every great pizza has a secret. At New York To Go, that secret lies in our perfectly recreated New York water, the key ingredient to making our signature New York style pizza. We also feature gyros with the region's only gyro meat spit, plus Nathan's hot dogs, calzones, and our delicious jumbo buffalo wings. Try a 14-inch or our special giant 20-inch pizza tonight. You gotta know how to fold them if you want to hold them. New York To Go, we deliver for you.
It's every American's right to bear arms. At Mandan Sporting Goods, we're here to help you support your Second Amendment rights, which reads, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Whether you're looking for a pistol for personal defense or collector gun, we have the staff to help you. We also have the area's largest inventory of ammo and reloading supplies.
Mandan Sporting Goods, the area's local gun and ammo specialists.
All right, folks, you made it. It's final segment. And we're coming up on 4th of July weekend. Independence Day is soon approaching.
I actually don't call it 4th of July because I'm a purist, and I think that
I know.
4th of July is just another day, but Independence Day is really important. So
Hence why I included
both.
because I had to
don't you agree? I mean,
cater to your needs. I didn't want you to feel triggered.
It's true. I get triggered easily about that. So we have not done a Biden executive order for a while now, but we are on like number 70 of. And he just put out another horrible one recently that I'm going to have to pull out and look at that too. But this one deals with keeping sanctions in place on the bad guys in Iran's government. And so this one is notice on the continuation of the national emergency with respect to Iran. The actions and policies of the government of Iran, including its proliferation and development of missiles and other asymmetric and conventional weapon capabilities, its network and campaign of regional aggression, its support for terrorist groups, and the malign activities of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps and its surrogates continue to pose an unusual and extraordinary threat to the national security, foreign policy, and the economy of the United States. So thank you for stating the obvious, Captain Obvious, on this one.
Yes.
Now, the thing about this that's interesting is that Iran is this not the place that we sent plane loads of money to?
Yes.
So it seems a little hypocritical.
We loved them before we hated them.
Right?
I think we love them again.
I think we love them again.
I don't know, but we love them. We hate it. It's a love-hate relationship, at least for politicians.
You know, I guess at some point Israel will probably take care of them. so there's that. But it just seems like a very obvious thing to say, yes, we are going to, continue the national emergency with respect to Iran because they're bad guys.
Yeah. Yeah, all right. So there are a few more executive orders, but I want to put those on the back burner. We'll cover those next week.
We got some breaking news.
Yeah, so today, the constitutional measure, which is going to be out there getting signatures, if it gets enough signatures, which it will go on the 2022 ballot. The measure is for term limits, and it's gaining a lot of immediate attention. In fact, I had 2 interviews today on it. I'm one of the, I think there's 42 sponsors.
Wow.
I'm one of the sponsors. And it would limit legislators, state legislators, to 8 years per chamber.
Right.
And the governor to 8 years as governor. So, you have 2 terms for the governor. That seems kind of standard, kind of reasonable. I think it's similar to the president.
But this is not retroactive. It would start afterwards.
Right.
So
now, I have a little problem with that. I had requested it for it to be retroactive, but I'm just one little cog in the whole machine. And the reason is that it seems very self-serving to say that I want term limits, I just don't want them to apply to me, which is however, on the other hand, it can also be viewed as being punitive, especially for Governor Burgum, because Governor Burgum, it sounds like he's going to run for a 3rd term. This, if it passed, would be starting in 2023. He comes up for his 3rd term if he chooses to run in 2024. So especially, with people like me being behind it, we want it to stand on its own 2 feet and not look to be a form of punishment to anyone. However, it's this weird balance. And I think that it's an interesting thing. I can make an argument for both sides of it. I used to be very much in favor of term limits, and then I kind of was opposed, and now I'm kind of iffy on it. As long as the term is not so short that legislators cannot gain institutional knowledge, confidence, and prowess, we'll say. Because if it's not long enough, what happens is that the power stays with the bureaucrats, the agency heads, the lawyers, and because the legislators aren't there long enough to really know how to play the game. Now, I think that 8 years is a little short. However, the reason I signed on to this is because when you say, for instance, you can be in the House of Representatives for 8 years, but then you can run for Senate for another 8 years.
Right.
Okay, at that point, you gain that institutional knowledge. At that point, you are no longer relying on the bureaucrats to tell you how things go. Right. So I think this is good. Now, the other thing is, as I indicated to you, it's sort of, I'm for it, but I can make an argument against it. Here's the thing. Generally speaking, the people of North Dakota, the people of the United States, frankly, have an opinion on this. And so I think it's reasonable to allow it to come to a vote of the people, and they can determine Do they want term limits?
It seems like term limits were very in vogue and popular a decade ago. I remember that was a big mantra, the term limits, and then it kind of died out there. And then I've heard you say also previously, well, your vote is a term limit.
Yes.
You vote for somebody, that gets them out of office. That is essentially a term limit. So I've heard that argument as well.
Exactly, and that has been my argument for the other side, is if you can vote someone out, that's the option for a term limit. Now, what's happening is some of the opponents of this measure are saying that the proponents, or the signers, especially the legislative signers, are saying that the people are too stupid to be able to make their decision on term limits. But here's the thing.
That's insulting.
Right. What they're looking at is saying, okay, down the road, but here, what we're saying is the people of North Dakota are smart enough to vote on the measure. They can determine. They're smart enough, we're giving them the power to determine if they want the state of North Dakota to have term limits. So don't tell me that we think North Dakotans are not smart enough. For God's sake, use some logic, man.
Very, very smart people in North Dakota, too.
All right.
So, encore presentation tomorrow and Monday as well, because it's the official holiday for Independence Day. So, have a safe and happy Independence Day. And we will be back on Tuesday. Bye.
See ya.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, inventor of MyPillow. Thanks to your support, you've helped make MyPillow become one of the fastest growing companies in America. Over the last 12 years, you've helped MyPillow create thousands of jobs right here in the USA.
When I got my pillow, I'm asleep almost immediately. I stay asleep at night and I wake up more well-rested in the morning.
That's why I invented MyPillow. My patented fill adjusts to your exact individual needs and helps keep your neck supported and aligned. I'm interrupting this commercial right now. Retailers have canceled MyPillow, and to thank you for your support, I'm gonna pass the savings directly on to you. For example, you get my 6-piece towel sets, regular $109.99, now only $44.98, or MyPillow dog beds for as low as $19.99 with your promo code.
For the best night's sleep in the whole wide world, visit my